and welcome back to episode 39 and what is also the season finale of the Football Fanatic podcast. Last episode of the season, and I'm delighted to say for the last time this season,
Woo!
they'll be back in August. With me is Howard and Daniel to review what was a fairly brilliant weekend for Manchester City. What's he call it? We'll get straight into it. We'll also cover Pochettino just leaving Chelsea.
That just before you get into it, how do
Yeah.
you feel about the last part of the season?
Um,
All the effort you put in.
I think it's been brilliant. People have been watching and listening. You've added to it brilliantly. So of the guests that come on every now and again, we'll chat.
Who's been better out of me and Dan? Like, come on, be honest.
All right, ask me that at the end of the episode, and I'll have a definitive answer for
just
you.
just just to reflect back, Declan, as things have gone on, and with each episode you've grown, you've grown into the role.
Really,
Fair
Yeah,
play. Yeah, you're not
I
shit
actually,
anymore. You're just that shit.
yeah. You're
I've
just
learned.
mildly shit.
I'm just average now. But yeah, I asked Dan earlier on, like, would he like to host season two? And he said no, he didn't want to do it. So he
No,
likes the position you're
Howard.
in. Howard, would you like to
Oh, well, I
host
hell
season two?
no. Like
No?
you're perfect for it. You get the yin and yang.
Okay,
Perfect. So
cool. What do you call it? I mean, I've loved it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to relaxing over the summer. We'll watch the Euros and then go again in August, and we'll chat over the summer, and we will see if we'll make any changes to it. Some things have been brilliant. The fantasy football thing went up, and we'll talk about that today as well. That went to literally the last, I think, the 89th minute when Havertz
Mistake.
scored a goal that decided the winner of, and wrongly so, because I think that goal should not have stood. But anyways, we'll get into that. So, I mean, the fantasy football has been brilliant. The predictions, I mean, nobody won, so maybe we can take a look at that and see if we can change it up. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, look, it's been a brilliant season. It was a three-horse race up until maybe 3 weeks ago. And look, we'll start there. Manchester City won the title for the fourth time in a row. What's he call it? Jurgen Klopp left.
see that
Arsenal.
Dan, he's nearly yawning after
I'm
he
not
said one
yawning,
the
no.
fourth time in a row, a big yawn.
No, I'm not yawning. I'm just kind of
City
trying to
fan.
just think how good a season it was. That
Trying
I
to
mean, we
goad you, Howard. Just trying to
Yeah.
not at
push your
all.
buttons.
We saw City win it fourth time in a row. We saw Klopp leaving. We saw Arsenal come within 2 points. They've made a huge improvement. We saw Chelsea go from being absolute dirt to they've been a bit of a resurgence. I mean, they got sixth. I wouldn't have said that, a
No,
month ago.
no.
What's he call it? Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United came up and went straight back down. Luton, I think, are the only team that can kind of hold their heads up and say they give it a proper go. Everton, I mean, if those, what do you call it, their season has been defined by just points deductions. And I mean, if that hadn't taken place, they would have been, a bit
Good
more
devil.
up the table.
Yeah.
Notts Forest as well with Pavarotti. A few good seasons from Fulham and Wolves, fairly, they got into the break into the
Starting
top
seasons, yeah.
half. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spurs just kind of did what Spurs do. We didn't do anything unbelievable, but like they weren't awful. There's definitely been some improvement with Ange. But yeah, look, we will start and we will. I know, Howard, you've a couple of things to say about Manchester City and Arsenal at the weekend. How do you feel about the way it all ended?
Um, to be
You can
honest,
you can also include the City Spurs game last
yeah,
Tuesday.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that was for me. That was where I had any little bit of hope. It was during that game. And it was in a sports bar with all these British geezers around me in off the coast of Spain. One lad beside me doesn't follow football, but he's a Man City fan. Don't ask me how.
Okay.
He was sitting
Odd.
beside me drinking this picture, cocktail fucking
Like most
picture.
of their
That's
fans.
this 3 liter
Yeah.
cocktail picture with straws coming out every side of it, and we
Was
were
he on
all
his
watching.
own?
He was with his girlfriend.
Okay, okay.
Anyway, I won't get into him, but he yeah, he was shouting for
What was his
City.
name?
Don't have a breeze. Don't have a breeze.
Okay.
He was trying to talk to me. I was like, just don't talk to me. Well, yeah, we're trying to watch the game. So it was the Spurs game, and it was just look at that. It was the Son chance, obviously. As Carragher said, it's like it'll be remembered as, like the slip for Gerrard, or just that defining
Yeah.
moment in the season for Arsenal where like you put your house on them to score that chance. And I think once that didn't go in and City won that game, I thought that was it. I had zero hope for the West Ham game.
Can you, I don't know, you might want to, you might not want to, but can you give me like a play-by-play of those few seconds, genuinely, when
mm.
Akanji slipped and Son broke through?
I,
Like,
I
well,
like
Will, did you jump up? Did
I
you?
yeah I was standing up on like not on the table, I was just standing up
Hmm,
and Jess was beside me, and
terrified.
he was just 1-on-1, and basically I just got my hand, and I just, once he missed, I smacked it on the table, like that was it. And
Uh,
that was, it was just, that was the chance, like, that was
and that's how,
that was
yeah, yeah, that's
that
how
was it,
tight,
like that was the title in the balance to a point, like.
literally, yeah.
So look, yeah, that was the only bit of hope, but again, it wasn't, it was like a 10-20% hope I had going into that game. It wasn't like, God, it's 50-50 here, we could do it. But yeah, I
Even though
didn't
on the
hold out.
balance of play, it probably was a 50. As in, there wasn't much in it, wasn't in that
Yeah,
actual match.
Tottenham played well. Like, we can't give
Yeah,
them any credit. There wasn't like, oh, the now the Son chance. God, he should have scored that. Like, it was, he picked a more difficult, when you're going 1-on-1 with the keeper there. He picked a more difficult angle to sweep it into the bottom left corner with your right foot. When you're coming at him from that angle,
yeah,
it's very difficult to do, because he's covering that area first of all, and you're also trying to curl it into the left corner. When you go that way, it's going to curl away from the goal. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
When you naturally hit it with your inside of your foot, and go for that far left corner, it's going to curl away from the goal. So you need to start it closer to the middle of the goal where the keeper is. So I thought it was a strange choice of corner, or finishing in general from Son. I'm not
yeah.
going to go
Fair
down the
enough.
conspiracy lines that he missed it on purpose, but you would have put your house on him to score that, and I'd say your heart was in your mouth, Dick, when
Stop.
when he was throwing through.
I was watching a match and holding my child at the same time, you know. I swear to God, if that goal, if that had gone in, oh, stop. Thank
That
God
was
it
the
didn't.
difference, like, we'll get into things, but like that was the chance, I guess,
Yeah,
for
that was
Arsenal.
make or break. Dan,
Uh,
what do you think of the Spurs City game?
Yeah, I thought it was, as Howard has said there, like really feel it was, for large periods, it was 50-50. And even in the first half, that Spurs were the better side.
Yeah,
It just didn't have that cutting edge all night in the final third. And you always felt like City, in particular, they were poor enough first half. They weren't going to play like that in the second
yeah,
half. And
yeah.
absolutely.
it kind of, once
And
it was
can
what
we talk about the City goal? Because
we can, yeah, but
we had a
yeah,
few back
yeah,
and forths on the old WhatsApp about this. Like, I thought when I saw that De Bruyne was offside, I thought there's a chance he's offside here. Because
Yeah, no,
people,
no.
your man beside me, the City fan who doesn't watch football, was like, "Oh, Haaland's offside here." It's like, Haaland is definitely not offside. He's like, he's well onside. Clearly doesn't watch football. But
Uh,
no, De Bruyne, I thought when the ball was played, he said he could be off.
yeah, I
And
agreed with that. Yeah,
what pissed me off about that is that the Villa Liverpool game was on the day before. There was about three or four times where they did a VAR check, they drew the lines, and it was okay. It was on or off. There was a few of them that were ruled off, a few of them that were on. They didn't do that here, and that was what grinded my gears. Afterwards, just like, you don't want to leave anything out there, especially in this gigantic game from an officialing point of view. And they need to check that, unless they look at it and they can say, okay, it's definitely onside. We're not going to bother checking it.
oh, can I
You
just
know.
ask, like, do we know that they didn't check it?
Well, we know that they didn't. So
We
let's say,
know they didn't show it on TV, but do we know that
yeah,
they didn't check it in VAR?
yeah. Well, look, there's a couple of things. When the Villa Liverpool game was on, we knew they were checking it.
Yeah,
It happens. They can't, like, it can't just like, oh, we're not going to say we're checking it and we're going to check it on the sly and do it real quickly. Like, I don't think it works like that. You know what I mean? They have to draw
yeah.
the lines properly. And then when you hear us, the IDK or whatever, lads on Twitter saying that they actually didn't check it, from what they've been told from their sources, they haven't checked it. It's just, why not? Like, he could have been onside, like, so
Yeah.
that's fine as well. Like, but just like draw the lines and then at
it
least leave
happened
any
so
doubt
quick
out of
though,
it.
as if like felt like there was no doubt, because it was so quick. It was just like
Mm.
goal
Yeah, yeah, it
restart.
was
There
goal.
wasn't
Yeah,
any
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of where they'd
yeah,
even check, regardless of even if there was an offside or not. Like with VAR, like there's been goals
yeah,
that have been scored this season where they're checking for little small minuscule things. Like that was actually something
yeah.
where there was
A
a
hundred
question mark
percent.
over it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some
Yeah.
of them was
Mm.
that are like, it's clearly onside, we can see, and they're drawing lines, like, you know what
Well,
I mean?
yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't celebrate properly because I did think that De Bruyne
Could have been off, yeah.
was definitely the line. it should have been checked. I thought it would be checked. As Dan said, like it happened so quickly. Literally, the goal was scored. Haaland celebrated. It went back to the center circle. Like that was
Like
it. I was very
we won't have
surprised.
that next season with the automated
Yeah.
Yeah,
offsides, which they should have
yeah,
had. They should have had this year. Like the whole of Europe
should
has
have.
it. I
Yeah,
don't know why they're still going with this bloody
yeah.
line
It's very good
business.
actually, isn't it? I think when you
Oh,
see it
it's
in being used,
much
it's
better.
and so quick. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. So I suppose just with the running as well, like City doing four in a row, and I know Dan, you mentioned this today that Klopp's farewell looks to have got more interest than City winning four in a row. So I mean, what do you call it? How has it be? And then again, City hat is off here. Has it become boring to the rest of the Premier League? Howard, I know you've an opinion on this one as well.
Go on, Dan, and let you start
Oh
first.
yeah. Oh
I have a
okay.
list of stuff here.
Okay. I think a big scroll. Um, look, yeah, I think given the fan base that Liverpool have, I know I was kind of having a really bit of more banter over the length of it. It was getting a lot of traction on social media, not just about the viewing figures, but even in regards to kind of parade that Liverpool had out for Klopp versus even what met City when they entered the. Yeah, look, it's not the first time that these kind of pictures and things have come up, like whatever, like that. In regards to whether or not it's boring, I wouldn't be as strong as Howard will be when he talks about it, probably on it, because I think that some of the title races, like the one that we just seen, did go down to the last day. I know City have won 7 of the last 10, but there's been such fine moments in
Yeah.
some of them seasons. I think back to the company, as you were mentioning about the Gerrard slip, but like the
The
company
Rodri
goal,
handball, yeah.
yeah, the Rodri handball, and the goal, the Liverpool, the one that wasn't a goal. Do you know when that was against City where it
Yeah,
was
John
half over the
Stones
line?
cleared off the
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like there's loads of them kind of little moments in between, I suppose, the Liverpool City kind of going tit for tat to nearly the final day on a couple of occasions and putting in massive points hauls. So struggling to say that it's boring. There is of course the big elephant in the room that I've been banging the drum. But look, to be honest with you, it's nice to see now. It's pity it's taken City winning the title for this to start getting like maybe a bit more traction around it all. But that's kind of, I think, another reason why there probably wasn't as much interest, because I do think that rhetoric that's been pushed now by Richard Keys, I think, was one that kind of came out and kind of
Mm,
listed a lot of it. But Sky
big
haven't really
Richie.
covered it much at all, really. They've said very little about it. So I just think that that's kind of something that, as it gets closer to the time, and of course, City were in a position to lift the if they won on done their job on the last day, there is that question mark that's there. But like, I wouldn't go as far as to say boring, considering that we've had a few like really close
Yeah.
titles run-ins, and like that City machine, as I know
Yeah.
Howard will talk about, what it's built on is the question mark. But there's no doubt that the
Yeah.
side that's been there for the last number of years, the last 4 years, just taking the last four into account, like has been like a ridiculously good team. And you see like the likes of Foden, what he did in the first couple of minutes, like
Yeah.
like he's a player. Like what age is he? Like, in City have such a talented squad going forward. The question, I suppose, will be asked as to what players they'll have going forward. Arsenal, in fairness, ran them so close this year; they should be there or thereabouts again next year, you would think. So I just wouldn't go as far as to say boring, but I can see when you take into account Klopp as a personality for the Premier League, not just for Liverpool. Like I wouldn't get too much into the kind of, oh well, 60 or 70% watched the Liverpool Klopp leaving and they didn't watch City raise lift the title. It's because people want to listen to what Klopp had to say.
Mm.
There is I know at times Klopp being called out of being moody or whatever like that. But I think as a whole, most football fans would respect and do like Jurgen Klopp, I think, as a whole. And he got an unbelievable send off, and we might touch on that again in a minute. So anyway, just to finish, I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's boring. Although football wise, I think sometimes City it's
Yeah.
more
That's another part
going
of it.
through the
Yeah.
motions watching it. I would more of a feeling on that. Not title race wise, no. I think a lot of them have been very, very close. And
Yeah.
look, City did what they needed to do on Sunday,
Yeah.
which they had done so many times in previous seasons.
Howard, you have
Yeah,
your
I do. Look,
go for it.
boring or not boring. The word I was using was predictable. And I know, Dan, there's been some tight challenges from Liverpool and Arsenal there recently, but in the end of the day, like the proof is in the pudding. 7 out of the last 10, the numbers don't lie. We can say it was a Son chance away from missing it, but that's everyone had City winning the title at the start of the season, pretty much. I think at Christmas when Arsenal dropped them 2 games, you can't do that against City. And like it's because City are so good and they have such a high standard of things that it removes any jeopardy from the game. And I think that removing of jeopardy definitely makes the league as a whole a bit less exciting, and a bit more predictable. And I think even if you look at City signings, they can afford to take a punt on £100 million player and have them on the bench. You know what I mean? It's that lack of, well, there's no risk here from City. There's no risk. They can just buy these players and just put them in their squads. They have this they have a ridiculous squad. Like, their squad is outrageous. Like it's been built on years and years of, pumping money into it, which, now they're being questioned. Have they done it legally or not legally? But anyway, that's a whole different thing. You call it a machine, Dan. It's most definitely a machine. The thing about machines is they don't have any emotions. People don't have any, they don't have any emotions, machines, and
That's fucking poetry.
you don't show any emotion to machines. So like, you see the City fans there. Deck, obviously
But
you're a
hold on,
diehard
hold on,
City
hold
fan,
on,
but
hold on.
like,
They don't
no, but
show
like
any
realistic.
emotion to machine.
Well, like,
I
yeah,
love my car.
yeah, well, there's City fans. One thing, when I saw them score in the penalty in Spurs, like they were there like jumping around, but the amount of, like, if that was any other team, like they'd be absolutely going mad in the stands. You know what I mean? I think there's a level of, God, we've won three already. Here we go, another one. Like there's a level of that kind of feel. This is easy kind of crack. It's all very easy.
But
But like the machine thing also is the other fans don't care if City win the league. They don't care. I'm part of that parcel. Like I'm part of, like, next, when the FA Cup is on. Do I want United winning that? I would probably say no. And why do I want United not to win that? You know what I mean? I don't want United to win that because, I have more friends that are United fans, and they'll be up in their arms on Twitter, and they'll be giving it this and that. And we Arsenal and United probably a bit more history there than Arsenal and City. So there's a level of kind of turning the blind eye to caring about what City are doing from other fans. I think that's happening. You see the West Ham fans. So the West Ham fans were singing along with the City fans at the end of the game, delighted that Arsenal didn't win the league. Like, it's all a bit kind of, well, City are having theirs because there's this cloud over them about the 115 charges, so just let them have their win all the time. But it's kind of, I think there's a level of people kind of not taking City seriously to a point in the grand scheme of history. If that makes any sense. I know that sounds a bit mad, but like,
no, no, you're grand.
it's like,
As he
it's
chews down on his pen.
yeah, yeah. No, it's just like, we'll see what happens with the charge, but like, I know it would be great if, from a City, if from your point of view, Deck, it would be great if it was all resolved sooner rather than later, because this
Yeah.
crack of it hanging over things all the time, and then you can't win anything without anyone fecking talking about it and bringing it up. But it does, like, the Premier League thinks they've done something illegal. And therefore, that when they win the Premier League, people think, well, have they done it legitimately? Because they just said they've done everything legal. So it's an, I suppose, a normal way for people on the outside to think about City when they see them winning things all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, fair enough. I take that. I think you're being a little bit unfair to the City fans when you're saying that they weren't celebrating.
Okay, okay, yeah, maybe fair
If you
enough.
if you
The,
seen me celebrating, like
yeah,
I got up off the chair and I bet the chest
yeah, but
in
I'd say, did
pure
you beat the
Daniel
chest as
Cole.
much as
Shirt
you beat?
off, shirt on.
Did you beat the chest as much as you bet the chest when Aguero scored that goal at time? Do you know what I mean?
I
Yeah,
blacked
like,
out for the Aguero goal.
yeah, there you go. That's the one. That's the
Okay.
that's the emotion I want.
What do you call it? I got up when what do you call it, when they scored the goal. I bet the chest and like I literally hit my chest so fucking hard. But again, I can only speak for myself. But I mean, from watching the fans in the stadium, I mean, they were just celebrating pretty loudly, I thought.
Look, maybe I'm a bit harsh on that aspect, but I suppose, like, what I'm getting at is not the fans themselves. I'm just getting at the fact that
I get no,
they're
I
just
do.
so used to winning. You know what I
I
mean? And it's
yeah,
kind
Predictability.
of like, oh,
I get
another
where you're
title.
going.
Like,
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and I get the argument about predictability. But I also think that there's an element of, I mean, I know you're a passionate football fan, Dan, you are as well. And I just get the fact that, like, he pushed City so close, and I genuinely think you're just coming from a place of hurt.
Well, look, there's a level of that.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a level of that. But like,
If
the
so,
the
if for
the
example, if Arsenal won the title last Sunday, and like, would there still be this argument of City kind of being predictable and boring, or
well,
would
no,
you
because
be?
we would have won the title,
Then
and
that's what I
it
mean.
would
Like,
have been but it would have been less predictable because it didn't happen. You know what I mean?
would
Um,
the narrative have changed, and kind of people were saying, City are a great team to put in, so competitive, so kind of strong, but
No, they're
Arsenal,
not going to see. They're getting the wrong end of the stick there. Like it's not. Oh, aren't they great for being competitive? Like you have £100 million player sitting on the bench. It's not like being like. It's not like you're doing the underdog story here. You're being so great. Like like the teams behind you are chasing a team that can just buy and have bought hundreds of millions of pounds of players over the
yeah, I get,
last 10, 15 years and built this machine, as we said.
I
So,
know,
and it's that idea of that machine winning all the time is what I think people get a bit bored of, or a bit like, God, there's nothing here that actually people like, wow, look at a big man, look at a Leicester City coming up from behind and actually, beating a team of juggernauts. It's the opposite of that, if you know what I
I
mean.
know, but I mean, you can throw loads and loads of money at, but that doesn't guarantee
No,
success. You can
of
look at
course, they've ran it
Man United
brilliantly.
over a lot. That's what
Like,
I
come
mean.
on, like
Like, and
they've
I mean,
ran it brilliantly and they have the best coach in the world. Like, no, don't like they have like and the players are class and the mentality that they have is outrageous. Like, don't get me wrong with all that. I just think they're such a good team. But I'm just thinking from a fan's point of view, that's where that kind of a level of not that lack of excitement comes from. It doesn't mean they're not a brilliant team. I think that's nearly part of the problem. They're too good of a team. But just one other thing that I wanted to mention on it was I think the fact that they've won it now 4 times in a row, or even this season 3 times in a row. I think, let's say them last 7 games or 6 games or whatever it was, that they're just like I think they won by 2 or 3 goals like each game. Like the teams that are playing them, especially the teams that are on the beach, they they have no interest in beating City, and they are already beaten when they're on the in the tunnel. I really think that because City have obviously have the experience and have the winning way, they have the history to back it up over the last few seasons, that it nearly, it takes a few points off the team they're playing against in regards to performance points, like the way the team performs before they go out on the pitch. Do you follow what I mean? Like, I think
I
if a
do,
team
Do you
but
know
if
what I think that
I,
goes for all sides though? Do you know what I mean? Is it
not
not? It's
not
not just a city. I don't think it's just a city.
well, no, I
I,
think I think it probably there's a level to it. That I'd say, like, like if they go to, like, if Villa go to Arsenal, I think they might, it can happen. But I just think
no,
when City are
yeah,
in that form at the end of the season, all the teams that go against them, they know they're in this form. It's almost like a foregone
yeah,
conclusion. You know what I
like
mean? And they've built that over their performances over the last season. I think
and
that's very hard to go against.
I've heard that kind of commenter saying before, like commentators saying like the game was over before they even went onto the pitch.
Mm,
But and I remember years and years ago, I heard about United when they had their kind of strong spell. That, like, the game was over in the tunnel when they were coming out at the start of the
yeah.
match. But I mean,
a lot
it's
of
not
times
just
when Anfield, when teams came to
I'm
Anfield, it's the same. The
100%
same.
Anfield, oh yeah,
Liverpool,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
100%
saying it
United.
just happens to City, but I mean,
Arsenal, I mean, around that kind of mid 2000s when the Invincibles were there. I mean, you'd go to Highbury, I mean, you knew you were going to lose. It's as
oh yeah.
simple as that.
Oh
Like,
no, look, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, because they've won all these things, that's what happens to any team. Like, your
yeah,
United's team back in the 1990s, late 1990s, like that. That's what happens. You have this beast of a team that you come against. I think, especially when they have such a record of the last half of the season. I think that
yeah.
aura, they nearly have an aura over them that the other teams can say, "Oh Jesus, don't go near them." You know what I mean? I just think it is. I just heard Rodri come out, about the Arsenal's
That's where this is
mentality.
coming from, is it?
Well, I was just
Rodri
thinking,
has really
I was just
annoyed
thinking,
you.
the mentality thing that he mentioned, that Arsenal didn't have the mentality to beat us. I was thinking, like, I think it's more so the mentality teams are playing against City with at the end of the season. I think that helps them massively, rather than City, being able to do it themselves to a point. But anyway, um,
I actually just on City. I have liked City actually as a footballing team, and I like a lot of their players.
mm,
The likes of Silva's, players that they've had that have gone that as well. So what actually, I'm not hurt. Of course, it's disappointing when we lose out by a point on a couple of occasions. I'm not hurt really by that from the point of view of the amount of money Liverpool have been able to spend, salaries, all that kind of stuff, and being able to compete with City. Like it hasn't been, um, on the same level playing field from that point of view. But what actually annoys me more now is that if it is a fact that they have done wrong and we missed out, that actually is the part that hurt
But
me,
it's
annoys me
not linked
more.
then. It's not linked. Is the like spending more money not linked to the whole charges? Like,
But that's what I mean. But this is only coming to, if you get me, I'm
oh
talking about
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
as
Sorry,
in,
you mean at the time when it happened before the
at the
charges
time,
came out? Like,
of
yeah,
course of course it's annoying and upsetting to lose now, but especially with in fairness, the tallies that United and City, or City and
City,
Liverpool were
Liverpool, yeah.
putting up, they were ridiculous point tallies. Um, but it's the fact that if it turns out that you've lost out on them, but actually there was a legitimate. But that's the part that annoys me more, and that's why I've actually taken a bit of a disliking to them. But before that, even when we lost out, I thought, Jesus, they're a quality team. They've such really good players.
Yeah,
Actually, players that they don't have that many unlikable players. I've always
yeah,
found
yeah.
with City, as much as say for
And
example, I
yeah,
could list you more like Man United players now that I think are just fucking horrible individuals in comparison to say a Man
and
City or
Dan,
whatever like that.
I'd be on the same page as you, but I suppose
But
when we lost out this season, we knew about the charges, so it's like,
yeah, of course, yeah. So that's the part that more now is where my feeling would be on it from that point of view. But like, look, time will tell with all that as well. But at the same time, as you're saying, Howard, like I think it goes for any like they were on an absolute roll when it comes to that, and it was mentioned so many times. We mentioned on the pod here, and it's been mentioned about once they get into that kind of February, March, come back after the
yeah,
international break, it's just basically like all hands to the pump. There's no messing around here, and they give
yeah,
away very little. With earlier in the season, they were, you know what I mean, kind of a lot more loose. I think they gave away very little in that running, and like you have to hand it to that team of players that are there, regardless of where they
yeah.
came from. They
No,
handle
definitely.
pressure better than Liverpool did, better than Arsenal did. They handle
Yeah,
pressure.
no, 100%.
You know.
And like, what I was saying there it does come from a level of bitterness, like from the season, like, you know what I mean?
Well,
And
it's
I
only after
suppose,
happening as well. Yeah,
well,
and
it's not just that. It's just I felt like Arsenal played the best football, and I thought they were the better. I thought they were the better team out of the three, Liverpool, and City, and obviously, the table is mine, all that crap. But like, I just felt because we had beat, we'd got the 4 points against Liverpool, 4 points against City. I just felt we were the better performing team overall. But then I just find then when this City team become, lock into this second half of the season machine, they don't even have to really put their foot down, but they're just unbelievable to stop. You just can't stop them. They just find a way to score, even though and it's just back forward, back like I was watching the West Ham game there at the weekend. Like West Ham, okay, they got that goal, but like they were just completely obliterated. Like they weren't even able to get out of their own box. Like, and it was just pass, 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 pass. It was just it was like Khabib. When you watch Khabib fighting,
yeah.
Khabib is not an exciting fighter to watch. Like, McGregor is like whatever, or whoever cares about fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get into a ring and he just submits you and like it's over in like whatever 5 minutes, you're like, God, I paid that much money to watch that crap. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm.
It's there's a level of that with City. Like they're just like go in, they
Yeah.
like strangle you and boom, be gone.
And I think
And
there is more, as you're saying, that there's more of like that's where the FFP and trying to rejig that, because there is more and more of a disconnect between the top teams in the league, I think, and the rest. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like the money part of it, but the style of football and and then there's a lot of games there that are kind of dead rubber. And I know they try to kind of sell the Premier League as, oh, it's unpredictable, it's the most competitive league on it, but there is games where and in particular top with City there as well, like where just teams they're not able to compete. They're not able to, whatever. But anyway, look, as I said, I think
Wow.
time will tell
October. We'll
around the
see in
chart.
October, Dan, when this hearing happens.
Well, that part, yeah. But besides, I still think that, yeah, regardless, I know you're hurting there, Howard, around Arsenal, but like with the side that they have, it's a really young side.
Oh, I know. I look.
I do
I'm
have
the
a
same.
feeling that, there's a couple of players there in City that they've won so many now. They've won a lot. Like, was there anything else
Yeah.
for it? And whether you got a couple that might move on. The Arsenal side wouldn't, maybe with one addition, maybe a
It kind of
striker.
reminds me of the
You know,
Remember the time Liverpool missed out and then they went again and just absolutely. I think they made a few key signings and they just went for it. I think there could be something similar maybe
yeah,
next season. Let's
I
see.
think if Arsenal were to get in 25, 30 goal a season striker,
Yeah.
I would find that they would be on par with City next season. So in the league, I actually don't think there'd be anything in it really. I think that's the
Yeah.
only thing.
Who?
Yeah, we diss Haaland or whatever like that. So look at the amount of goals he has scored this season. If Arsenal were able to get a centre forward who could do that, it'd be level playing field for me anyway. I don't think there's much in it between them. When you look at both their 11s on the
Yeah.
pitch, there's not
I
much in
just,
it.
just to summarize Arsenal, like I think Arsenal had a great season. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Of
Like,
course they did, yeah.
they got a lot of guff online like that. And you saw like
A
the
lot.
amount of
I was
slander,
surprised.
like
A
Yeah,
lot.
unfounded. It
and
was ridiculous.
like, but it's all like, I think there's a lot of like rival fans are just delighted,
Mm.
delighted that Arsenal didn't win the league instead of, let's say, City or whoever. Like, and it
But there
is
is a
just
London factor, isn't it? There's so many
there's a
teams in
London
London.
factor, but also United don't like them, and Newcastle don't like. I think they have a lot of presence online, the Arsenal fans. So I think they want even West Ham, like because they took
You'll
like
always
Declan
find that when
Rice.
teams like City now, like when Liverpool, when teams are doing well anyway, everybody
Oh,
jumps
people
on
will
them.
not.
And
Yeah, yeah.
that's the
That's just the
nature of
way
the
it
beast there
goes.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think like you see the Arsenal fans at the end of the game there, they were like shouting, chanting, and all that. Like they're like everyone's in. I think it seems like it's all good spirits around. I think the players are. I couldn't believe the players were so disappointed, to be honest. But like I suppose that happens. I like Havertz was in tears. I was like, how is he even crying here when he surely he knew that the gig was up already. Like what I mean. But I suppose they put in that much effort.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think as well as a coach and as a team, you can't let
You can't let that
you
in.
have
Yeah,
to try and
yeah.
kind of keep it that we get our job done. That there's
There's a
kind of
chance.
holding back that emotion. Yeah, but I still think it's an interesting rivalry. I think that could be there for the next couple of years. Granted,
Yeah.
depending on what happens with City, but in general, I think that the two teams there are. I'd still say a bit ahead, even looking at ourselves. I think that there's a bit of a gulf there, and of course, we've lost one of the best managers
We'll see
that we've
what
had.
Arnie
So
Slot does.
yeah, look
Arnie
at that.
Slot. Da, da,
Yeah,
da, da, da.
yeah, exactly. You don't know. Yeah, I got worried when I seen that. There was a Paddy Power one of them had this really funny video about Ten Hag and Slot, and then they transformed the photograph at the end. They nearly turned into they look like the same person. That's
Oh,
just
really?
fucking
You got
scary.
freaked
It's
out then.
just
They're
fucking
having a
scary.
nightmare.
Just there looking at going off fucking and this ball Dutch lad coming in. Is it going to be like Eric and Hag 2.0? Look, time will tell with it all, but
Yeah.
I can't see us. I like with all the transition that's going to go on there with the summer, and I know they're talking about the difference, the style of play has been similar, but like you have to take it at face value. Like when managers come into the league like that, it doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? That they're going to be there being able to challenge this year. I think if Liverpool were to get into Champions League again next season and we're showing progress, bought a few new players in, I think it'll be a decent season for us, maybe win a trophy, whatever like that. But I'm not expecting us to be bringing with being with both the next season to the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I doubt I'd be
Yeah.
severely doubtful. But it is a
Let's see a
good
big
squad he's
summer.
inheriting though.
It is. It's a good squad. The club is ran well. I mean, it's by no means, Ferguson leaving United and leaving a fucking sinking ship. Like things are going well at Liverpool. Like you think good setup, you have a brilliant academy. Stadium is fucking full every week. I mean, fans worldwide, etc. Um,
The talk seems to be that the three are going to sign on, but we'll see now in the next couple of weeks. But apparently, that's now the slot thing is sorted, and the next thing is the sign back up Van Dijk, Salah, and Trent. I don't know whether or not Salah will sign on, as
yeah,
opposed to maybe the,
Yeah, I
the
heard
his
something about Trent
Instagram.
there today signing on. So
Yeah,
maybe
there's talk
it's
that
happening.
the Trent and Van Dijk ones anyway, and then whether or not Salah just does his final year of his contract and then heads off, maybe does one more. Going by his Instagram posts, it sounds like he'll be there for next season.
yeah.
Again, but you wouldn't know if the circus are often quiet these days. But if the circus is back in the
They,
road, you
they
wouldn't know
probably
what
would
might
want to
happen.
sell him though, Dan, would they not? Like,
I would now, based on the season, they have to.
yeah, you'd
Yeah,
imagine
you have to
Edwards would
take
want to sell him. Yeah.
yeah, you have to take like head over heart on this one because obviously he's been
Absolutely.
one of the best players he's one of the best players I've ever seen play for
Yeah.
my Liverpool in time for his consistency levels and the time supporting them. But when you look at his age profile and the fact that now he definitely had dropped 1 or 2 gears this season, whether or not he can
Yeah.
get that back, I really don't know at this stage of his career. But if you were getting offered 80, 100 million from, I think business wise, even if you look at the money he's on, if he could ship him on, I think this would be the time to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd walk for free next summer. I think he
He,
signs
I,
on a new contract to be interesting. I just can't see it. I can't see him staying on beyond maybe next
but he,
season.
he he's kind of lining up to be like, oh, look, I got pushed out kind of thing. Because the way he's going on now, like, is like he's happy to stay, but I'd say the club might want to maybe try and push him out a bit, and
Yeah,
then he'd be
and
like,
like
look, yeah,
yeah, that Instagram post, no more than kind of when all that crack was going on with Saudi and the kind of murmurings of what he was saying. You just don't know whether or not he's putting out his stall of what he wants. versus what, as you said, what the club was, what the
Exactly.
manager
That's
wants.
exactly what
So
I'd say he's doing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
lining up his.
It'll
But
be an
there's a few.
it'll be an
Go on.
interesting summer, just transfer wise. And
Mm,
and you were saying earlier on, you kind of listed off a couple of things like throughout the summer to look forward to. The Euros being one transfer window, the managerial transfer window. Just a quick one on managers, I suppose, coming and going. So on Deserby leaving Brighton
mm.
today, Pochettino leaving Chelsea. Just a quick word on that. One, I suppose, who's next in the Chelsea hot seat, and as well as that, where's Pochettino going to be next? So I suppose who's going to replace him? Do you think? First of all, are you surprised he's gone?
Uh, I am surprised he's gone, considering their uptake.
Yeah,
And I think when we talked about this a couple of times on the pod, even a couple of months ago, I kind of felt that even regardless of the way the season pans out, I think that Chelsea should keep him, but they might not, as we talked about that with Chelsea, and again another machine. Whether or not they have no problem in sacking managers and moving on to the next one, and it has worked for them in the past. So I just find it now, just because I only literally when we came on this realized that had happened, that he left this evening. He had been saying a few weird kind of
yeah,
things, nearly goading the club into, maybe saying like, kind of really putting out these little feeders that I'm happy enough to leave, lads. I thought in the last couple of weeks, but I just think, is there a coincidence? Maybe not, that the Zerbi has handed in. Has there been a bit of tapping up? Has there been a bit of
yeah,
conversation behind the scenes? The Derby decides to hand that him and Brighton are parting ways, and then suddenly Potch is gone. And the Derby, if you remember, was linked with the Chelsea job as well. He was in their name, that was in the hat. So I just wonder whether or not there might be something in that, or might not. He
Mm.
is obviously now another manager that's in the market, and it's in a market where there's not that much managers to really call upon. So I don't know who even would be in the running for
yeah,
the Chelsea job. But Ten Hag, we don't know what's going to happen there after the FA Cup. But I think Pochettino will be a sought after manager for a lot of clubs. Maybe he'll end up at Munich. Who knows? But I
man,
think for me
they're
anyway,
they're going for Vincent Company.
apparently they're going for a company,
Supposedly, it's insane.
which is just mad. But I know in saying that, they were linked with Ranić. So whoever's running the show there at Munich at the moment needs to have a little word with himself and lay off the
Honestly,
sherry. You ask
yeah,
me.
I
But
know.
but anyway, for me, Poch is regardless. I don't think it's been a horrendous season for Chelsea. It hasn't been a great season, not by any means. But I actually
It
had
was
said,
going that direction, but
Yeah, it
yeah,
was just, yeah.
but I have a feeling that, with the summer that was coming up for them, and the fact that you could
yeah,
actually start to see now a few players coming through of that group of players that have come. I actually thought, Pat had a second year at it, that they would be a lot more
yeah,
competitive next year, is
yeah.
what my feeling was. So
Mm.
anyway, it's done now,
It's a
and
surprise. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's a
What
surprise.
do you call it? So I suppose where do you think Poch will be next?
I could go to Bayern, I'd say.
Yeah, Byron.
Um, Bayern, yeah, I think. Why not? I don't think there's anyone else out that
You got
Bayern
one,
look.
yeah. And
I'd
then
say I'd
just
say Chelsea are going to get Frank Lampard in. I'd say
fuck off,
get
will
him
you
in,
stop?
hire him up, get Frank the Tank back. He'll rearrange the dressing room, get the boys going again. He'll bring back in Kai Havertz.
Stop.
No, no, but I like look. It's weird. It's a funny one. I don't know where like yeah. I'd say Poch. I looked like he was
Jose,
about to just start
Yeah.
bringing
Why
things in.
not? I mean, look,
Jose.
like the whole thing is kind of insane now at the moment, chopping and changing managers. But I mean, to
will they
see
take Tuchel
Mourinho
back?
back in the, yeah, why
Yeah,
not?
there's a lot
Why
of
It's
not? I
very
mean,
interesting. Like it's
there's a lot of
like you
clubs
look.
that need managers this season or this summer.
yeah,
And there's
And
a
Tuchel, apparently Munich wanted to keep him, after all the
and now he's
debacle there.
gone. Yeah,
And he said he wants to go to the Premier League, so he's looking for a move to the
okay,
Premier League.
but they got rid of him, didn't they? He
yeah,
was
No, no, no,
Bowley
no.
was Bowley was with
Yeah,
wasn't
he
Bo
was not. Was, oh yeah, it would have
yeah, it
been
was the
actually. Yeah, it
star
would have been.
Bowley's era.
Yeah, and what a mistake that was. He just win in the
Where's
Champions League.
Conte now?
I don't know. I can't say I don't know.
Conte
Yeah.
lost his job. Wasn't Conte? Oh no, Conte. No, he's not in
I
it, is
don't.
he?
I think they're going to go for a coach rather than a
Yeah,
hardened manager that's old school. I think they're going to go for like remember like they got Graham Potter in originally. That
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
to go with the young lads. I'd say they still have that kind of um that thing in mind with it when it comes to their new
Southgate.
manager. Oh gosh,
he
he's
could
going to
be
United. I think.
United bound, isn't he?
But it's just
That
it's
that
interesting because
that
there
could
is
be a
there.
I, I,
disaster.
I I reckon they probably had made up the decision at the middle of the season that he was going, and I'd say they've been looking around and they probably have someone lined up. And I'd say they didn't realize that maybe this was all gonna maybe turn out to be not too bad of a season,
Yeah,
and the decision was already made. and he just said, right, I'll go as well.
I
So
have an awful feeling it'll be interesting now. So you can rubber stamp or what you call it, time stamp this part that it'll be interesting in a week or two's time though if it is De Zerbi at Chelsea or something in that.
Yeah,
after
I'll be
the whole
So
fiasco, yeah, that would be, and like he probably told everyone there, oh no, I don't know who's got, like
if you
he probably
remember,
told,
you remember
uh,
Zerbi came out a few weeks ago and started to crack. He started kind of saying, "Oh, about Brighton," and
if the
after they got
club
knocked out
go,
by Roma.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So you just wonder was he was a name that was tipped for a lot of to get that next push. And we did. I think pretty sure. Remember we talked about it earlier in the season when Potter went when we were discussing who would be the next Chelsea. I'm really sure we kind of all said that. Sorry, not Potter, the next manager to kind of get that push
yeah.
up to a
There's
big club.
Deserby
We
is
all
the
said
man.
this early, didn't we?
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah, and I'd say Tony Bloom, if he knew, I'd say it was all done behind closed doors, and if Tony Bloom knew the whole extent of it, he would have kind of maybe cut it off. But I think he'd be actually good as Zerbi with Chelsea. He'd be one of the, yeah, I could see that happening. All right.
yeah. I suppose Graham Potter was excellent at Brighton as well, and then he took the plunge, and look what happened. Nobody's seen
Mm.
or heard of him in
He
9 months.
managed he managed Mudrick back in the
He's
day,
at
Deserbi.
Hogwarts.
He's at Hogwarts, yeah.
All right.
Potter.
Come here. What do you call it? Brilliant season. I really enjoyed it, and obviously I really enjoyed it. What do you call it?
Yawn.
What we've also decided to do, we're going to pick each of our own team of the season. I have a feeling, and we haven't kind of spoke about who's picked who, but I have a feeling that we're going to be very, very close to who picked who. So, do you want to go one by one? So, Dan, do you want to name out your 11, then Howard and me?
Or do you want to do like
Yeah,
goalie first and then, or
Actually,
just do
yeah,
both?
okay.
Yeah,
Do you want to do that? So and so we'll go with our
yeah.
we can
goalies.
fly through. We don't have to spend too much time
Yeah,
on that as well. Who's you want? How do you go first?
My goalie is Emi Martinez.
likewise. Dan, who did you pick?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, just because I think with the magnitude of what happened with him around the I know he had one or two mistakes, but like if you think of Martinez's mistake there against Liverpool the other night, like keepers have, I think as a whole, Raya has been solid and for Arsenal. Was questioning whether that would work out for him or not, but I think he has been a part at times of that
Sorry, so Dan, who did you
Martinez
go for? Sorry,
that he
you
has
kind of
made some.
you broke up at the start
Sorry,
there.
Raya.
Oh, you went for Raya. Good man. After all the
Yeah,
guff you've been
yeah,
giving
yeah,
him
yeah.
all season,
No, but just not all season, but
he
at
did
the
get
start, of course,
the
there was a
Golden
question
Glove.
mark over.
Ray's been good.
Yeah, he
He
did get the
has
Golden
been
Glove. I just
good. And there was a question mark about replacing Ramsdale. Was it fair? But I mean, I think in the long run, it has paid off.
Oh,
And he
definitely,
has, yeah, it has
definitely,
been
yeah.
yeah.
absolutely.
I
So,
don't
yeah,
think he's the
that's,
best goalkeeper in the. I don't think he's the best goalkeeper in the league, but I just think based on the season,
No,
I
fair
know
enough.
he's
Yeah,
had made one or two mistakes, but so has Martinez, so has other keepers. I
yeah,
think just as a whole that he has added another dimension to Arsenal, and he has got better as the season's gone. And in fairness, I was one the question at the start of the season of whether Ramsdale, has he done? I don't think Ramsdale justified his position to be
no, I think you
a
made a good
number
point.
two, but
Yeah, he added another dimension. That and like
yeah,
that to do that
yeah, yeah,
is, and it doesn't have to be necessarily shot stopping. You know what I mean? It's his
yeah,
long balls up
absolutely.
to Havertz or whoever. So yeah, fair enough.
All right,
but
Dan was,
he's for me he was so solid too.
yeah, Dan will stick with you now, Dan, for the back line. Who did you go with?
Yeah, so I didn't pick left or right backs. I didn't think there was too many outstanding ones. So I just went for the two Arsenal centre backs, Saliba and Gabriel and Van Dijk. They were
Oh, you went
the
back
three.
three.
Three,
Now, yeah, I went back three. I don't think there was too many left or right backs that stood out to me over the course of the season. Actually, if I was going to pick one, it might have been Kyle Walker. I just think he's been solid all season
yeah,
for City. But I went for the back three, and I think maybe the tail off of Liverpool, people forget about how good Van Dijk was for the majority of the season. He was
oh yeah,
exceptional. Thought he
Mm.
was back to at times, that level that he was at, and he has been a massive presence for us. So I think that they'd be my back three. And I think if that was a back three in any realm of football, you'd struggle to score any goals.
Oh, imagine,
So
yeah,
that was my back three. The two Arsenal guys, I just think is you can't.
not
I
have
think
them in, yeah.
it's hard to separate both of them. Because I know Saliba gets all the plaudits, but Jesus, like Gabriel and himself this season. I think both of them as a pairing will go down,
yeah,
potentially could go down. I know that if they were to win one, as one of the best pairings the league has had because they've just been exceptional. Like they're
Mm.
rock solid. So that's my three.
okay. Howard, your back line.
I actually back forward, so I have White, Saliba, Gabriel, and I actually gave the left back position to Gvardiol. Simply because he had an all right first half of the season, but I thought second half of the season he's been brilliant.
Yeah, he's been good.
And I like that back forward. I thought, we already talked about Saliba, Gabriel. I thought White has had a brilliant season as well at right back. Like he's just, I like like, yeah, I thought he's been just class getting down the wing. Every time you think he might be out of the team because they got Timber in or Tommy Asser or something, he always holds his place in the team. So look, he's been brilliant. And yeah, Gvardiol again, he looked like Messi the odd time coming up the
Yeah.
wing for City. Like, so I want to just give him his flowers there.
Yeah. I've gone for back four as well. So right and left, Walker and Gavardiol. I both mentioned them both. Solid seasons, Gavardiol, he was solid, but then whatever it was in the
The
last 2 months,
steroids.
he just took off. I mean, he was bought as a centre half, but I mean, he just made that left back position his own and bombing forward. And he has a great passing ability, but his vision as well for a left back to be up that high up the pitch and to link up with De Bruyne for that one goal against Fulham, I thought was brilliant. Walker as well, as Dan said, he's been solid. In the middle, I've gone for Saliba and Van Dijk. I mean, you could easily have Gabriel in there instead of Van Dijk, but of Saliba and Gabriel, like Saliba for me is the 10, whereas Gabriel is probably the 9.5. And Van Dijk, again, it's for that period throughout the season when the injuries had mounted up, and he was basically the only one left. It was Van Dijk and like nine kids, and whether it was Allison or
Yeah,
Keller in
yeah,
goal. So
he's
he
brilliant.
kind of and the League Cup, Klopp was saying that was his favorite game or his favorite trophy to win, and I think they won that game because of Van Dijk. I know he got the equaliser, but as well it was his leadership I think that dragged them over the line in that
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead then.
And the way he manhandled in the top strikers in the league that came up
Yeah,
against him in certain games
Yeah,
as well. Just that presence and kind of being able to dominate them, which is what he kind
he's
of
been
did, I think,
class.
to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
him as well. So I do think, look, in the tail off, he has been at fault as well, like a lot of the back line, and but I do think that you forget just up until that point, and especially
of
in what
course.
you said, Deck, with the amount of injuries, he played with a different partner. Like we talk about Man United and all the different partnerships and all the different people who've been in and out, but like Van Dijk was a constant and played with multiple partners this season between Matip, Kwanzaa and Kanate, and even Gomez at times as well at centre back. But yeah, I think it'd be unfair for him not to be definitely in the conversation or being in,
Oh
the
God, yeah,
teams. Even though I know last season there was talk whether or not he was finished. That
yeah,
was the stuff going around about him last season. I think he's shown that he's there. He's the captain, and hopefully to get his contract, because I think
yeah,
he's massively important to us in regard to anything we do going forward. I think that he's the focal point back.
yeah. All right, Dan, we'll stick with you for the midfield.
Yes, I gone for five in the middle. So
Jesus, okay.
I've gone for a 3-5-2 formation. Yeah.
Three, five, two. Okay.
So I have Palmer on the
Jesus.
right. Palmer on the right. Just think he can't not be in a team
No.
this season. Like he was just think he gets overshadowed as well by the fact that Chelsea is, weren't in the hunt for anything really or major. But the job he's done, considering as well that this is actually his first full proper
Yeah,
season where he's been playing game in, game out. I think he's been unbelievable for my money. I know they're talking about that it will probably be Saka that plays on the right side for England, but like I just think he's been that good and he's in such good form that he could definitely fit into nearly an England 11 for me. And then my midfield is It was Rodri and Rice in kind
Mhm.
of in the middle with Foden just in front of them, and I've gone for Gordon on the left because I think Gordon hasn't got enough praise this season of how good he's been for Newcastle, and he's one of these that I know we call him a punk, but the amount of
Yeah,
times, if you watch Newcastle, the amount of times he gets cleaned out of it and gets kicked around the place, and he plays on, he struggles even there at the game there with his where he should have had a penalty against United. I
against
don't think he
United.
scored
Yeah,
one. Like whereas it's like he shouldered on through, and I think he's been a really really important player for Newcastle with goals and assists. And I think he was kind of laughed at as kind of the amount of money that they were spending on him. But a question mark, it was a big question mark.
yeah.
Chelsea were looking at him, Newcastle were looking at him, but I think he's been worth every cent. And like he's a young player, he's only going to get better. So he was on my left side, and then Foden was playing in front of that. I think Rodri and Rice are just they're two world class solid players. I think we know what Rodri can do. And again, I don't know what's that. Was it 50 games he gone? Like there's some record or something
Yeah,
new
it's
that he's
ridiculous. It's
or
ridiculous.
that he's gone enough games where whenever he's played City have won and the importance of the side. And I think we've just seen it again about different dimension of Arsenal through Raya. We've seen a different dimension, I think, of Rice
Yeah,
signed in Arsenal as well, showing that he's an all round midfielder as opposed to just a holding midfielder. I think he's been exceptional all season and has dragged Arsenal and pulled them up a level. So that was my midfield.
All right, Howard.
Pretty good, yeah. Very similar. Mine is Rice and Rodri, and then I've Odegaard, just an attacking midfielder, and then I have Foden on the left and Palmer on the right.
So
Um,
it's basically identical. Apart from,
the-
sorry, Odegaard and say that again. Go again.
so I've
Rodri and Rice.
Rodri and Rice,
Yeah, I have them
yeah,
as well.
and then in the 10, then Odegaard, and then on the left I have Foden, and on the right I have Palmer.
You want four
Shit,
five one, Howard?
you've the exact same
Saxon.
as me.
Oh, who do you have up front?
I have Haaland up front.
Watkins. I went for Watkins.
Watkins, okay.
And gentlemen, minus the front two of Watkins and Haaland.
Watkins and Haaland. Could Haaland or should Haaland, could he play in like with a strike partner? I know Alvarez has kind of played beside him, but more behind him. But I mean, would Haaland work in a two-strike partnership?
Mm.
It could work. I'm
I
just
don't
I'm
know if
just
you'd
wondering
have.
what you think.
Yeah, I think. Well, with Alvarez, you mean?
Anyone?
I think you need like a kind of quick nippy lad
Yeah,
behind him. Like I wouldn't put Watkins in with him. I'd say you need to have someone like who's but
I
like
don't know.
even
His layoff play, like, is in playing as a. I don't know. Yeah, he isn't. I know a lot of the goals he has scored this season. Like, he gets them in around the box. That's kind of the way City play. I remember for years Sterling
uh,
used to do, where he'd just be coming in and get goals in the box. I don't know. Yeah, he's a strange one because his goal scoring is phenomenal. But this season, like, he hasn't been that good to watch. A lot of games he's been a passenger in a
No.
lot of them as well. He hasn't been. And whether or not, it's interesting you mentioned Alvarez there, because for me, like, he's
Alvarez
not.
is fantastic, but
Yeah,
I had to
since
jump off for a second. One sec.
yeah, no worries. Since Haaland came back from injury, Alvarez kind of he's got games, but like he's definitely been a number two when it comes to like the striker position. And I mean, he doesn't deserve that. He deserves to be
No,
playing
he does. Yeah,
100%.
he does. It's an interesting question. Like, it won't be something that will happen
No,
with Pep being there at City for the style of the way they play. But yeah, I'd be interested. I'd be the same with Howard. That you'd probably want someone again, the big man, small man kind of combo. But there's no doubting though that, look, Haaland is still that he won the goal boot, didn't he, by a couple
he
in the
did,
end?
yeah, by
Yeah,
27, and the next in line was Palmer at 22.
yeah. So
I was
yeah,
actually
but
just thinking, Dan, as well. I was thinking there this morning. Palmer, like, I mean, last season he was a bit part, like as bit part as he can get for City.
mm,
He came on, he got a few appearances, got a Premier League medal. And then at
mhm.
the start of the season with Mahrez leaving, you thought, okay, he might stay, but he didn't. And it was a huge kind of, I know we got 40 million for him, but like a huge gamble for him to kind of go because he's a City fan, so probably
Mm.
going mightn't have been easy. But Jesus Christ, did he go and he took his chance.
Yeah, and I think, just again, I know there was a lot of talk of, and Pep and it didn't get on, or what was it about. But I don't know, when you listen to any sound bites he's given around it, it was, and even other people who kind of were in around are kind of saying, oh, well, he wanted to play, and he just decided that he was confident in his ability. And look, when you watch him play, he is
Yeah.
someone who's fucking confident in his ability.
Oh
Jesus,
God,
like,
yeah, yeah,
some of his performances this season, the hat trick that he got, making bit the players, like he's
yeah.
playing a five-a-side game, just taking the piss, like, at times. He's an exceptional player, and again, like, that was his first season. Like, you have to remember, like, he had started the season well, didn't he? Score in the Super
He
Cup for
scored
City,
in the and
Charity
against
Shield.
Arsenal in the Charity Shield,
Yeah,
yeah.
so like, he had actually, when he got the kind of game time he was getting, he was showing that he was worthy of a place in the side. But then he obviously seen the Doku was coming in,
Yeah.
and he knew that his card was kind of marked. He'd be another, as you said, bit part player. So I think he's the one. Like, he's the standout. Like, I don't know, can we think of many other players that have come in their first proper season in the Premier League, that have come up through the youths of the side to kind of do that, like what he's done, from a midfield
Well, yeah,
position.
not through the youth of his side, but I mean, you've had
Yeah,
one season wonders. Michu, remember
of
him?
course, there's one. Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of one
Yeah.
season wonders. Yeah, Michu was one. Yeah,
Oh, he was
but
brilliant.
he was exceptional. And I think when you look at the strikers there, like Haaland, Watkins, like, there's a couple of others that have had good seasons. I think Dom Solanke had a really good season.
Yeah,
I think the guy
absolutely.
was in 19 goals, whatever, like that. Like, he's considered, he's playing for Bournemouth. Like, that's a really good return in that as well. But then, there's not too many. You kind of look at, like, the Premier League for actually out and out top quality strikers are lads
Yeah.
that will bang in 15, 20 goals. Like, and it seems to be, there doesn't seem to be too many of them at the moment. But yeah, that's anyway. I think that's our teams. And we already talked about our our manager award in the last one. But definitely, I think the breakout kind of one that I think surprised everyone is it's no doubt is Palmer. Like, his numbers there.
Yeah,
I sent you, I think, on the fantasy football points thing tallies of over the years. And like Cole Palmer is the most points in fantasy football this year of
really.
any player, yeah, this year in fantasy football. I know he takes penalties, but like he some of his goals that he scored and his performances and his assists, like anything that Chelsea seems to do this season, it's coming through him,
It was around him. Yeah, you'd
Yeah,
wonder now
yeah,
with Pochettino going and that uncertainty that's kind of all of at the surface
mm,
again now. What will happen throughout the summer? Like, will they bring people in? Will people look to go? Who will come in
yeah.
managerial wise? I always kind of, given the season he's had, Palmer, and the fact he's a City fan, I'm kind of thinking
Getting back.
someday he's not going to come back. Like, but I'm just thinking
Yeah,
someday he could come back, and he just like Foden and him in the team. De Bruyne is
yeah,
eventually
and
going
that's
to
the
hang
thing,
up the
isn't it?
boots, and
Yeah, that's
you
the thing
never
when you
know.
look at it, like you look at the money that was spent on Doku, like probably 60 million, 65.
Yeah,
I
of
actually think he's a decent there, but when you look at Palmer, like what would Palmer be worth now even in the
course,
market based on his numbers and his performance this season? But look, it'll be interesting to see when a new manager comes in. Like he's the one you need to be building the team around
yeah,
now.
absolutely.
Yeah, but
Just
yeah.
actually on that, you mentioned Raheem Sterling there a few minutes ago.
Mm,
Kind of fallen off the thing
yeah,
completely, isn't he?
yeah. I think when you look at it now, City kind of got rid at the right time.
At
It
the
kind of
right
worked out
time,
well
yeah.
for them, and that as well. And again, look, I think for Sterling was in his early days at City, like, and even when he was at Liverpool, like he was exceptionally. Not that he's not quick now, but like just seems to be that he got a lot of his goals in the latter stages, but just coming right in the box late.
Mm,
He'd be scoring a lot of tap ins. Where now at Chelsea, it seems that like they've been looking from this season to do a lot more of the kind of creative
yeah,
part of his game, and that's not him. Kind of, he's not.
yeah, definitely.
When he's played this season, he hasn't deserved really to play. When you watched him, he hasn't been great at all. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the future holds. He's not that old, really. When you think
No,
about
I
it,
was
he's not
just
that
thinking
old.
like
Like,
he's only like kind of 28, 29, I'd say
yeah,
at this stage.
I imagine he's on big money.
Yeah,
But he hasn't. A new manager coming in again. It'd be interesting what they do with the likes of like when you look at it at Chelsea side now. Like there's a lot of goods in there. Like there's a big job for whoever manager comes in of trying to
yeah.
kind of clear out some
But it's
and
obvious so that there is a team there. Clearly, like
I think
for the
so. I think
lads.
Madueke was one that I think that really started to show
Yeah,
signs of promise, and maybe Jackson as well. Like did start to chip in. It was only his first season, and that as well. So it'd be interesting to see can he progress. And Conor Gallagher in the midfield, and also then as well, like
yeah,
they've lost Thiago Silva. Which, in fairness, in recent memory, he must be one of the best free transfers that's come in. Because in fairness, he was rock solid for them
yeah,
for a number of years now. But they've a bit of a job on to try and replace him at the back.
definitely.
Mm.
All right, so we will move on to our final segment, fantasy football. So it was a hell of a season. And I suppose because we've had our own league, I've been watching it closely. I've had kind of multiple people leading for weeks and months on end. And they had kind of people, what do you call it, playing their wild cards at different times. Howard and Dan were kind of battling each other for a while, and Howard just kind of fell by the wayside. We'll give you a break
For
now, in
short,
fairness.
short for a short while.
Yeah,
Short while.
he
I
had
was
his,
I was I was beating him for a while, and then he played his
he,
wild card, and then
yeah,
he
and then
beat me.
you had your wedding, so naturally,
That was it. I was distracted.
That was it. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. What do you call it? But then maybe was it around Christmas time? Andrew Curley he was well in front, and then we thought that okay, he's not running away with it, but nobody seems to be even making a genuine attempt to catch him. But then out of nowhere, say maybe come March time, Dan's brother Alex started to kind of chip away and get points. Did he play a good wild card or something like that?
yeah. I think yeah, but I think wild card wise, he kind of probably would have been in and around. Uh, yeah, like he wouldn't have been massively far off, probably in that, as you said, in that kind of March time frame. But I think he had a lot of differentials to Andrew Curley as well, which was another thing. And I think what kind of played into the hands for some was when Haaland got injured that time and Salah got injured, it
Yeah,
really opened it because a lot of people were picking different captains then because Haaland usually or Salah would be the two that most people would captain on a week-to-week basis. So that kind of thing. And yeah, I just think he can, if he can kind of get a solid team together that's chipping away and doing well, he can would have played his wild card. But like, he yeah, like he just was chipping away, as you said there. And like we remember we had Paul and Claire Breslin who were up top of the
oh
table there for
yeah,
quite a while. And it just goes to show you, like when you go through in a bit of a spot where like they had a lot of Liverpool players, and then Liverpool started to fall off and stuff like that. Like you can drop quick enough
Oh yeah, absolutely.
out of contention when if you stick by the players. It's always one of the biggest things about football. It's always a stick or twist. Like I think Hurt Locker done himself a bit of hurt there by keeping Salah for so long.
Yeah.
You're carrying a £13.4 million player or whatever he
Like
is
I did the
in
same, yeah.
fantasy football.
It's
Yeah,
the
but that's what I
waste
mean.
time.
You need to pull them. Like I pulled my Liverpool players out a couple
But
of
it's
weeks
just
ago
Salah, like,
because
you know, he's usually then he could come and get like from previous seasons, but this
yeah,
season
of
he really
course.
just went off the boil
But
altogether.
it's how long do
How
you wait, I
long?
suppose, you know?
But
Like I
like,
was
there's a
picking
few
up,
players you do wait though, isn't there? Like, there's a few usually like you know your Haalands or your Salah. Like, you know, Haaland didn't do great at certain times, but you know, you'd be doing well to get rid of him
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
fair
yeah. And
were
point,
again,
waiting.
it's
fair
about
point.
time. And the guy took him out for a while, and he was obviously he got injured, came back, but he wasn't great when he came back from injury. I never put him back in, and then I kind of just got him back in at the right time when he
Every
started
time,
banging in
yeah,
goals again. It is a lot of his timing, and I think that's
yeah,
I think that's what happened where the front couple started to pull away from the rest. And I think the front three, any one of them there going into the last eight could have won it. There was 13 points, I think there was between the three of them.
Class.
And I think the standout, I'd say if you were to put it down, I know we'll talk about Havertz goal in a second, but I think that Mateta for Alex, I think
yeah.
Crystal Palace are the team that won in this because he brought in Mateta in his the week where he used his free hit, where he brought in the three Palace lads and got a ridiculous amount of points over that double game week. And then he brought Mateta in at the weekend again. And he again was the one that delivered for him. He was a differential. He got was a hat trick and an assist at the weekend. So that I think was probably the point really that pushed him there. And then of course he got the Havertz goals. We were kind of trying to work it out. It's hard, like when you're trying to watch your team play, you're
Yeah.
seeing all these goals going in everywhere, and you're trying to kind of see, okay, what way is this looking? But there was a couple of points in it, and it was basically I think Jackson for Andrew Curley and Havertz for Alex. I think if Havertz hadn't scored, Andrew Curley would have won. I think that's the way it was looking. But if it was either kind of one of them did something, it would win it uh, for the other person. And the Havertz goal was the one because Alex ended up in the end winning it by was it 3 points in the end,
Class.
and it was gas watching it in the house, like because we were there looking at it, and I was in the house when watching it, and it was like, no, that's definitely getting overturned. The ref went and looked at the monitor, and I was like, it could only happen my Miami fucking brother that the ref goes and looks at the monitor and then says, no, that's a goal, even though clearly hit his hand.
Very good. Very good. So Alex is the
So
winner of
yeah.
the club jersey.
Mm.
I've been actually I messaged him, what do you call it? So he wants once the new Liverpool kit comes out, he wants to see the away jersey or the third kit. So he's gonna go with one of them. So Dan, tell me when the kit is out and I'll
Yeah,
get
the
that
season's
jersey for
one,
him.
the way one wasn't great. That white and green was. I don't know. Sometimes you wonder, like in some of these, especially in the big clubs, with some of these away jerseys and targets they bring out, you wonder like how much is someone being paid to come up with this dirt that they're
Of
like
course, yeah,
as kids.
absolutely.
But yeah, look, it was a great season there. I think there's a definitely got a lot of traction. I think Deck. We got
Yeah,
a lot of kind of feedback in it. Of course, it was a prize, but also I think it is something that it's a bit of a phenomenon. Like we have 42 that were in it this year. I'd imagine that we'd probably get a lot more than that will
yeah,
enter in based on the traction and the crack that we've had with it this season as well. So
definitely.
fair play to Alex, fair play to Andrew Curley as well. Because in fairness, now he and Hurt Locker, like the three of them were for the last couple of weeks now, tinkering, doing the
Yeah,
Ranieri on it, the Tinkerman job, try and get that little differential. And yeah, it was good season.
absolutely. Right. That kind of wraps it up for us for our first season of the Football Fanatic podcast. Thank you to everyone who has listened and watched, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify. Please join us again in August. We'll be back for season 2. It will be myself and probably Howard. I'd say Dan. It's been good. You know what I mean? Thank you for your input.
I
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna
No,
go and set up the Fanatic Football
yeah,
Podcast.
you do
just
that.
one thing before we go. I just looked at the odds of relegation next year. City are 33-1 to get relegated.
Really? And
Well,
who,
that'll do with the charges, obviously.
of
If that
course.
happens, does that mean then that only two will go down? I mean, that'll work, I presume, yeah.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
all
it'll
all
be
ahead of us
interesting.
next season, Dan. We can't wait. We're
That will
rubbing our
actually,
hands.
there will probably, hopefully, there will be. That will take up a good chunk of kind of news information next season. So,
It'll be all fucking law
or it
experts
could
by the end
happen,
of it.
or it could happen during the summer, and it could completely blow over, and we'll start back in August, and we'll just say, yeah, as you were.
Can we predict the outcome just
If
as
it
a
yeah,
final prediction?
if it happens during the summer, like,
So,
is that what you mean? Or?
no.
Well,
So I'm going to predict that it'll settle. There'll be a settlement of some description, is what I predict.
That's
what is
bullshit.
the settlement?
They'll pay a fine and that'll be it or something.
Yeah, I think it won't go. I think if it goes even if it even makes it to October, I have a feeling that there could be an early settlement with this, whatever that looks like, whether it be that they take a points deduction and a fine or something like that. I doubt they'll be settled on expulsion if they're City, but you could see a thing where take a decent point, hefty point fine. It might end up they might potentially miss out maybe Champions League or something, like, depending on what way their season is going, and a fine. But I have a feeling that is the most likely outcome, is that there might be a settlement. So that's my prediction, anyways, that they'll settle.
My prediction is that they will be found innocent, and we will be able to hang on to our trophies, and I will get an apology from Daniel and from Howard and many others as well.
Howard, what's
Howard,
yours?
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
My prediction is I'm going to put 100 quid on that 33-1 bet, and it's going to happen. That's what my prediction is. I know. I'd say I think I can't see them settling because, well, depends how much the Abu Dhabi government get involved. But I think if I think it'd be up in arms if they don't get a proper fine here. And I think it'll be relegation, big fat relegation.
interesting.
To the
Okay.
championship?
Yeah, I don't think it could be League or two. I don't. I'm not sure.
But
We'll all
but
fight.
you want them gone.
No, it's not that. I just think the level of charges that are against them in comparison to if you compare them to, let's say, your
Mm.
Evertons and Forest, they're just like to a way higher magnitude. Which would you'd think by looking at a layman terms would give them would put them out of the league.
Fair
There's no
enough.
appeal though on this one, I have read, so it's very much a kind of
Oh, is
a
it no
no.
appeal?
There's no appeal, no,
Oh,
because
interesting.
they're contracted with the Premier League. So in the contract there's no appeal process where there was with the CAS, with the European one there a couple of
But
years ago. So
didn't Forest and Everton appeal their points
yeah, but they
deduction?
can't. Whatever way this is, I'm very sure that's what I
Oh,
read.
right, cool.
Uh,
Well, that's grand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that there isn't an appeal. So whatever the outcome is on this one, it's basically the outcome. If they can, the problem is that it's English law that it's under, which apparently you have to be able to really show that this has happened. As in, there's no kind of gray areas. So yeah, they need a very, very, very strong case. And as we know, City will have very, 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 very strong lawyers in that position. So look, it'll be, as you said, Declan,
We
it'll be an interesting
we have
of
10
months, and
we have
we,
10
we'll have a bit of crack here on it.
we have 10 high-powered lawyers. They just keep in a room at the Etihad, for situations just like
Yeah.
this.
We'll have to get some lawyer onto
Can,
the podcast to talk
can,
They
can we
got
just before we go? Can I? We have our just a England team lineup announcement. I kind of can't understand how much social media and kind of how much the big story that Rashford was left out. I can't
I
understand it
think
because
it's
it's
I think
like
it's
it's
completely justified.
yeah,
100%,
I
yeah.
don't see it as a big thing, but it just seems to have kind of taken over social media. Himself and Henderson, like that, I just can't see how either of them have any way would have warranted it. Maybe it's just going back to Southgate usually sticking to his own or whatever, and maybe that's why it's blown up. But for me, it's a complete non-story because
Not at all, yeah. I mean, look at the attacking options that they
it's
have without
outrageous,
Rashford.
Oh, yeah,
outrageous.
100%. And like the Eze got in, didn't he? Like Eze is
Yeah.
basically more informed Rashford, like so. And you have the pace, like, and the power. One last thing, breaking news. Kieran McKenna is leading candidate to become the new Chelsea manager.
Right, the Ipswich lad.
Wow.
Yeah, there we go now. There's a little bit of breaking news. That's
Where,
Jacob Steinberg from Guardian, so
okay.
obviously,
Is
Is he
he
reliable?
reliable? Yeah.
yeah, he's reliable enough. Yeah, yeah. Well, he's like, why would he make that kind of stuff up?
He's filthy.
McKenna.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
interesting.
like you could see him like a guy that could easily persuade, but I could see that going horribly wrong.
Just imagine it's right. So we're in May now, right? So August, season starts again during the summer. So much could change.
Oh yeah,
And
Could be
so,
new
we might need to
managers.
do some sort of transfer pod or something when we're getting closer to the
We
time.
could do, yeah, we'll see. We might do a one-off over the season, like a transfer analysis or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Just
look,
looking there, the Zerbi is just at the odds. Like Zerbi is actually he's strong favorite.
For
They've
a
obviously
Chelsea
been
job.
listening. I was gonna say they've obviously been hacking into our computers here, listening to what I've said there about the conspiracy of the Zerbi. But he's favourite for the Chelsea job, and then McKenna is second, and then you've got your man, the guy from Lisbon, is it? Your man Amarin,
Oh yeah.
is company on
Thomas.
that list?
No, Thomas Tuchel is fourth favourite.
Uh,
Thomas Frank is fifth favourite. Actually, that was one as well. There's talk of him leaving Brentford.
I have a
Thomas
good I
Frank.
have a good source in it's Ben Jacobs now. He knows
Company.
everything. He knows everything Chelsea. He
what do you mean a
said,
good source? Do you know him?
well, he's the guy on Twitter that knows that he basically he's the
Hopefully, he's not in the
reporter for
betting game.
Chelsea. Like he's legit, like he's like an Ornstein or whatever. He said
Okay.
Pochettino was not a strategic fit. He says the senior players are surprised. Chelsea looking for a young manager. That means really modern and progressive. They're not considering Tuchel or Mourinho. Ruben Amorim is not a front runner currently. Kieran McKenna is expected to be a leading candidate, but Chelsea feel Brighton are further ahead, so would need to move fast because Brighton are obviously looking at
Yeah,
at
but
McKenna as well.
this
Would he
lad
not
has
stay with
just
Ipswich?
brought
Yeah.
Ipswich up. Stay with them. Don't
Yeah.
rock the boat. Like, stay with them
Yeah.
and see what you can do.
Thomas Frank and Eddie Howe have also been discussed
Eddie Howe, yeah, that's an interesting one.
for Chelsea. Anyway,
All right.
Oh,
Listen,
yeah.
man, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a hell of a season. Thank you for all of your input. Thank you for everyone who's listened and watched and supported the podcast. We will be throwing stuff up on Instagram over the summer. So please do what do you call it? Subscribe and follow us if you haven't done so already. And we will see you in August for the 24-25 season. Man City will start off as favourites. Will they do five in a row?
Don't even start.
We'll see. Okay. All right, lads. Thank you very much.
Cheers,
cheers,
Dex. Been a
Deck.
pleasure.
All right.
Take
Cheers. Have a
care.
good one. Good luck.